Morning to everyone. My name is Xiaosu Ching 30418. Today I would like to present my individual report, The Determinants of Sinovac Biotech Limited Performance. The introduction of Sinovac background. Sinovac has founded in 1999 by Wei Long in Beijing. The company operates multiple manufacturing sites and has recently established a cutting-edge influenza vaccine production center. Moving on to the problem statement, Sinovac has been in crisis of governance since 2018, compounded by a dispute with Vivo Capital. Its auditor resigned in 2021 due to concern about management integrity. This led to the delayed SEC reports and loss of investor confidence. Additionally, while Sinovac's coronavac vaccine played a key role during the pandemic, it was also criticized for lower efficacy and booster shots, dissipating public acceptability and market share. Continued issue with governance and adapting to an evolving competitive environment challenging Sinovac influence over the long-term and sustainable development. The objective of these individual reports is, first, aim to ascertain the internal or firm-specific factors that could have influence on Sinovac Biotech Limited's performance. Second, to identify the external or macroeconomic factors that could have influence on Sinovac Biotech Limited's performance. Last, to investigate the internal and external factors that could have influence on Sinovac Biotech Limited's performance. Moving to the literature review, in this context, I include three, which is performance, liquidity risk, and market risk. First of all, for the performance, according to Adverse Events 2014, profitability is a relative measure of success or failure of a business. It has more to do with the rate of return expected on an investment or the size of return compared to what could have been obtained from an alternative investment. Second, for the liquidity risk, based on the American Academy of Actuaries 2024, defined the liquidity is the capacity of an entity to meet both expected and unexpected cash demands. Liquidity risk is the potential that, under current or future conditions, an organization may not have adequate cash or easily convertible asset to fulfill its financial obligation, or may only be able to secure necessary funds at a prohibitively high cost. The third is market risk. Market risk is the exposure to financial loss caused by challenging financial markets. Market risk affects the entire market, therefore, it isn't unique to specific company or industry, but to the overall market. More specifically, market risk is the potential or risk of an investor experiencing losses due to the broad impacts experienced by the entire market, by the entire financial market. Next is methodology. For the sampling technique, the data are collected from the annual report of Sinovac from 2014 to 2023. There are three models is using in this framework. For the model 1 is how internal factors are related to the performance. For the model 2 is how external factors are related to the performance. And for the model 3 is how internal and external factors are related to the performance. The extract data will be converted into financial ratios such as average collection period and current ratio. The ratio will be analyzed using linear regression in SPSS to produce descriptive statistic, correlation, model summary, ANOVA, and coefficient table. Next is the descriptive statistic. Below is the descriptive statistic of all variables that were measured in the research. The information includes mean and standard deviation from 10 observations for each variable. First, for the current ratio, the mean is 1.84 and the standard deviation is 3.48. This indicating moderate variability in liquidity across the observation. For the return on asset, ROA has a mean of 0.131 and represents above variability. For the return on equity, is having a mean of 0.337 with a greater variability. For the average collection period, represent a very high and highly variability, showing high volatility in receivable management, where debt to income shows a negative mean, which is negative 68.81 with highly variability, this reflecting unstable debt levels. For the operation ratio is having a mean of 1.59, this showing increased variability as well. For the operating margin has a small mean value, which is 0.142 and moderate spread. The inflation rate is at mean of 1.75% and the standard deviation is 0.75%, which indicative of moderate price level fluctuation. And for the interest rate is at mean of 4.08% and the standard deviation is 0.37, which is typically stable rates over the period of measurement. Moving on to the exchange rate is at mean of 6.64 with a very minimal variation. And for the unemployment rate is at mean of 4.64% with a very low variation. Finally, the CG index has a mean of 0.414 and low dispersion, which shows relative stability of governance sources observations. The descriptive statistics shows the most variables how low to moderate variability, while average collection period and debt to income represent a high dispersion. Significant extreme difference observed variation. The CG index and unemployment rate are the two most stable variables with low standard deviation. Next is correlation. For the most significant variables is CG index, which shows that the R value is 0.956 and for the P value is 0. This indicates that improvements in the CG index are closely related with increases in the dependent variable. Next, for the most not significant variables is return on equity ROE. This shows the R value is negative 0.015 and P value is 0.484. This indicates ROE has no considerable impact on the current ratio. Next is model summary. For the model 1, the model showed very well overall with R 0.976 and R squared 0.953, which implies that about 95.3% of the variation in current ratio. This model explained by CG index, ROE, debt to income, and operation ratio. For the model 2, this model continues to have a lower but still substantial with R 0.015 and R squared 0.837. This explaining 83.7% of the variance in the current ratio. For the Model 3 has the best overall with the R is 0.982 and R squared is 0.965, which explaining 96.5% of the variance in the current ratio. Next is coefficients. For the Model 1, the CG index shows a highly statistically significant, where ROE, net to income, and operation ratio are not significant. For the Model 2, the interest rate is significant, but for the inflation rate, exchange rate, and unemployment rate are not significant. For the Model 3, all of them are not significant. Next is conclusion. The significant influence of corporate governance on the company's liquidity and sensitive to economic changes, especially interest rate shifts. Moving on to the recommendation for the Sinovac. Sinovac can strengthen their corporate governance by promoting a greater transparency, strengthening board accountability, and improving stakeholder engagement. Additionally, they can also complete their risk management system, which include a wide range of risk factors such as economy, operational, and ESG concerns. That's the end of my presentation of the individual reports. Thank you.